Johar and very good evening to you all. I am Subhashish Das and today I want to read to you a few lines, rather a few paragraphs from one of my earlier books, The Unknown Civilization of Prehistoric India. This book was published way back in 2013 or 2014 and it is still selling. I had to research quite a lot to write this book. Not only read a lot, I had to mix a lot with the tribals, visit their villages, stay with them at nights, and then come out with a book like this. Before I read, let me tell you that I am not an archaeologist. I am an independent researcher on megaliths. I prefer, however, to call myself a storyteller. Storyteller of a lesser known part of India, of the tribals and their megaliths. So now I will read to you few lines and I hope you would like this. The eternal debate that who among the Aryans and Dravidians were indigenous to the land is as old as the hills. A consensus doesn't seem to be in sight. Each party comprising of archaeologists and historians put up testimonies which they regard as evidences to prove their point, further complicating matters. Amidst in this entire muddle, the tribal factor has been missed out, as if they did not exist at all. The entire tribalism. Archaeologists and historians fighting it out on the issue are now indulged in allegations on one another of distorting the country's history. One faction hold the other responsible for what they call having too much Western bias and stroke, or are often branded as Marxist historians, who on the other hand charge the former as being politically enthused, having fundamental Hindu favoritism opinions. Leaving aside such mudslingings which will lead them nowhere, they should dig deep into the history of the tribals for a change. The tribals, who though do not boast of any possible script, written literature, possess a very well preserved history of their community in the form of their folklores and tradition and in their archaeological relics known as megaliths. Megaliths have always been ignored and shunned by archaeologists, historians, and even by the common man. That these ancient stones could be artifacts of history appeared to be a silly demand, since megaliths, being devoid of scripts or illustrations on them, cannot be instrumental in reconstructing the ancient history of India. If only the tribal tradition, religion and rituals were known and recognized, much could have been correlated with these stones. Their positioning, I'm talking of the megaliths, their positioning, their shapes, sizes, architectures, and their similarities with megaliths of all over the world. They speak an unspoken language, an unwritten language, which can enable in rewriting our past. The tribal tradition and legends are narrated and sung during their major ceremonies as births, marriage and child's naming and so on and so forth. Such folk traditions are rightly recognized today by many institutions in several countries as oral history. Folklores long enunciate interactions and contacts between cultures and civilization in the remote part, irrespective of enormous distances. A theory vehemently spurned by scholars, implying that such connections simply could not have been achievable in the past. But similar names for people, towns, villages, rivers, and even for the same objects among faraway lands are only few evidences among the plentiful which prove relationships between these land in the ancient times. And let me add in here the commonness of the megaliths as well. Thank you.